Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at Matic then, and of course we're going to have to look at Bitcoin. So basically, before we start on Matic, we're just going to focus on Bitcoin because the deal is this, and we've been through this a million times. Bitcoin is in a giant descending triangle formation, and it has been since the summer. This basically causes us rejection every time we come close to it, and throughout this $7,000 period. We've been testing it many times, quite a lot of times actually, more times than we ever have in fact, which is telling me that actually we're getting close to bottoming out at some point soon. I don't believe this $7,000 is going to be the bottom. I think we're going to break down beneath this into the 6,000s again, this bottom level here being 6,500. Or you could call it 6,600, thereabouts within that range. I think we're going to come down to test that level again. But the fact that we're persisting on this descending trend is telling me that it wants to, and it does really want to actually break out of this formation at some point soon. So I'm under the impression that every time we potentially bottom out, every time we have a breakdown, and we're likely to have another breakdown, every time we do have a breakdown, it is likely to be the Bitcoin bottom. It's not 100%, in fact it's probably say 50-50, because there is a chance that we could break down beneath here and go into the 5,000s where it would get really nasty and bottom out at this level here, 4,900. But you get what I'm saying, every time we break down there's an opportunity there to catch the actual bottom of Bitcoin, along with all other altcoins, top altcoins I'm talking, so this doesn't really apply to Matic. But it would apply to things like Ethereum and EOS and XRP and maybe Chainlink, and you see where I'm going with that. So that is the idea, and this is the madness behind that idea. We are desperately wanting to break out of here, and I believe we will break out of here soon. And once we've broken out of this descending triangle, this giant descending triangle formation, with triangles within triangles, basically, we will go bullish again. Doesn't mean we're going to go crazy bullish like we did here, but it means that we've probably, there's a good chance that we've caught that bottom of Bitcoin. Anyway, that said, we'll move on now to Matic, because just to get it out there, I am still bearish on the market. I'm still bearish on Bitcoin, which means I am still bearish on Matic. So let's have a look at Matic. So this is Matic's daily chart. Not very useful. We'll go to the 4-hourly. Let's get rid of these other indicators. So we are making lower lows each time, apart from this giant wick. But as far as candle bodies are concerned, they're new lows since the big move up. So it doesn't show any intention of basically making its way up. We've got a death cross now on the 4-hourly chart, which does stand for something generally. So I'm expecting more moves down, not only because of the death cross, but because of the situation with all coins, including Bitcoin and everything. The market's going to come down, in my view. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, this isn't financial advice, but in my opinion, everything's going to be coming down, and Matic's going to be coming down with it. So we do have a death cross on the 4-hourly chart here, which is not a good sign. That's a bearish sign. The death cross took place at this price action, so we're in between. The price that we are at right now is in between the price action of that death cross, so it's reasonable to assume that this area is going to be sold, and we're going to be coming down to another level. So where's that level likely to be? I would probably say, we came down to this level here before we had this giant bounce. This was 1.217 cent. We could find a bounce around that level. That's only going off the back of the fact that this is where this wick took us last time Bitcoin crashed down to, and this was where Bitcoin broke down here to 6,600, which is, a likely possibility that it's going to do that again. Now, this is our first, and I'm going to draw this in, to be honest with you. This is our first opportunity for a decent bounce and a possible reversal. We're going to call that level there 1.24 cent. That is where we may find an opportunity to bounce, and our first opportunity for a bottom. Maybe we could bottom out there. I do think we're likely to come down further than that, however. But just going off the back of that's where this little wick took us here. But this was back when Matic was showing relative strength. This is before all this took place. But we'd been above the green 50 exponential moving average at this point for a couple of months. That's pretty strong stuff. This is the first time we broke down beneath it, as a result of the market dictated by Bitcoin breaking down. So we could end up bottoming, not bottoming is the wrong word, but bouncing from there. That could be an okay buy, but given the fact that we've got a death cross here, let's have a look at some of the larger time frames. The 6 hour, let's see what the 6 hours not yet got a death cross, but it's definitely going to get one. 12 hourly won't have one, but we'll see how far away. Quite far away. And on the daily, clearly we're even further away than that. But we will get death crosses if we stay beneath this 200 exponential moving average, which is going to be, we'll call it 1.7 cent, just below that. 1.7 cent, slowly declining every day with that price, but we need to break above that level. We need to break above that level probably quite soon in order for this death cross on the daily to be avoided. I don't think it's going to be avoided, however. I think we're likely to get that now. But, you know, anything can happen. Like I say, we could break down to this level here and find a way a decent bounce, and if Matic picks up like it's known to do, we might be able to get away from that. But I find the likelihood of that being quite low, because in the past, because we've on this channel we've followed Matic quite frequently, and what we always notice is that if we break down beneath the green 50 exponential, we find it very difficult to break above it. Even after this Coinbase announcement, which was FOMO, we ended up breaking down beneath it each time, making lower highs, and then when we got down beneath it again, we stayed underneath it. It's only when it broke this descending trend of its own that we started to look pretty positive, and that's where I got quite, I wouldn't say bullish, but it looked pretty good to me at that point. Now, we don't obviously have anything like that to go by right now. This is very early days. We'll go back down to a 4 hourly, because it doesn't make a great deal of sense when you're looking at it on the daily like that. There's no rhyme or reason to this TA at the moment. What we need to do is we need to allow for Matic to balance itself out. If we can accumulate between here and here, so that would be between 1.25 and 1.72 cent, we could accumulate through that area again, but if we did, we're going to get a death cross on the daily. If we did, what we'd want to do is need to break above and start accumulating between the 1.7 and the 2 cent area, ideally above the 2 cent area. If we find our way above the 2 cent area, and again we need to be above this 200 exponential and this green 50 exponential to really start to show some true value again. That's when we could start to get interested in the coin. You could always make that risk and take that gamble. I know a lot of people are willing to do that, be buying it at these low levels, buying it at 1 cent, or buying it just above, or maybe even lower than that if it breaks down lower, which I think it could do. You can take that risk, and again, if you're a long-term investor, you know, that's your call. You know, you're not into trading, you're into buying low, selling high, and time isn't really too much of a factor for you. You know that you're going to be involved in this for 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever. You're likely to increase in its value. I mean, even Matic, after what's happened here, I know will pick up eventually, but for the moment it's not really a coin to be picking up on, especially given the fact that the market's looking like it wants to collapse in on itself. So it's a very, very delicate time for all cryptocurrencies, and a very delicate time for a coin like this, which has come falling all the way down. It's going to be kicked while it's down. It's going to come further down, whether that hits the 1 cent or if it goes below 1 cent. If we do find ourselves below 1 cent, we could be in for some not new lows, because we started off all the way down here. So we're still up from the beginning of the year quite significantly, I should add. Do a little measure move for you there just for fun. So from price action where we are today and where we started at the beginning of the year, still up 359%, which isn't to be sniffed at. But not many people would have got in back then. I know I didn't. I only started buying in at 1 cent. So not many people will have bought in from back then, and not many people, if they did, will have kept it, because it first of all did a 10x. So what is likely to happen now? Moving its way down ever so slowly and surely until Bitcoin decides to break down, and then it will probably take a big dip, but then be bought back up with the rest of the market, including Bitcoin. Bitcoin's likely, if it does break down, go to 6,600, probably find itself in a nice decent bounce all the way up to somewhere perhaps maybe as high as 6,900 before being rejected on the first pass. Matic probably, I would imagine, amplify those moves. So if it did break down to this level here, it wouldn't surprise me at all if the bounce carried us all the way up towards the 1.7 area, where we would be rejected on that 200 exponential moving average that we have here on the daily. So that is a decent move. We'll measure that one out from top to bottom. If we were to bounce from there to there, that would be a 34, we call it 35% move that could take place. Now again, I have to tell you that I'm not a financial advisor. It's not financial advice. This is all theory based on the way that Matic reacted the last time we broke down with Bitcoin reaching those new lows. So Matic was a stronger coin back then than it is here, so there is a very strong argument to suggest that if Bitcoin breaks down to those levels, which is quite likely, then Matic will break down further than this level and maybe not find the bounce that I'm referring to. But, you know, like I say, there is always that option, there always that possibility, and those who like to gamble, that is a perfect opportunity for a gamble. But I'm not into gambling myself. I like to take very carefully considered risks with cryptocurrency, and at the moment Matic is going to be too risky for me, even at buying at these low levels. 1 cent as well, that would be still too risky for me. I need to see how it reacts when it gets to 1 cent, and react not just on the first pass, but if it bounces on it once or twice or 3 times, it sounds to me like it would, that's likely to break down again. Now, picking up Matic at very low prices could be even more attractive, but if it's making new lows, there's nothing to suggest that it's not going to make lower lows than that. The deal is basically we have to wait maybe even a 2 or 3 months to see how Matic is reacting to these you could almost call them new support levels. If it breaks down below 1 cent, we need to see these moving averages begin to reset on the daily, which will take months, and then we need to see positive growth like we had here. At the moment, there's no trend to be drawn out or mapped at the moment. We're just making new lows, and with those new lows come new risks. It's not a tradable coin. I've said this on my last few videos now. It cannot be traded right now. It has to be left alone. It's like if you were to cook a chicken, you know, you're not going to take it out the oven after 10 minutes. You have to wait for the whole thing to be cooked, and that's what's happening with Matic now. We're cooking that technical analysis. It's too early to call with any degree of certainty what's going to happen over the next days, weeks, or even months at this point. Nobody really knows what's going to happen with it, so I can't tell you. All I can tell you is that it's very likely to make new lows, and given the state of the market, the lows are at least this level here, 1.23 cent, and probably eventually down to 1 cent, and perhaps lower than that. Anyway, I hope that was useful for you. I appreciate all of you guys and girls who tune into this channel. Really big deal for me, because I had this channel, you know, back in 2017, and I was making videos, but I kind of stopped. But I picked it up again this year, and it's grown really big, actually, much bigger than I thought it was going to grow. So that's all down to you lot subscribing, and I really appreciate it. I'm not one of them people that begs for subscribers or begs for likes. That's completely up to you if you want to subscribe to this channel or like it. You know, I find it a little bit pathetic, to be honest with you, for watching those channels that always ask people to subscribe and like. I mean, you can do what you want. It's not for me to say. So the fact is, I'm very pleased with the channel. I'm very pleased I've reached 1,500 subscribers, and thanks a lot for that. And like I say, we'll leave this one alone for the minute, and we'll leave all cryptocurrency alone for a minute, and we'll just wait and see how this all plays out in the end. Which won't be too long, I'm telling you. I'm pretty sure that there's going to be bottoms forming soon, and then we can start trading again. Anyway, hope you have a nice evening. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.